If we don't stand for truth, we will fall for anything. And right now, there is such confusion on what truth actually is. And I am so grateful to let you know God's raising up voices who will give you a clear biblical perspective on all the hot topic issues. I've got a young man with me who's going to fill you with faith and encouragement. God's raising up a generation that is desperate to know truth and also lead you into a way that if you walk in the truth, you will not fall for the lies and the deceptions of the enemy. Join me today on The Voice of Destiny with my new friend Spencer as we tell you what God is doing in media. I'm here with my new friend Spencer. Spencer, I feel like right now media is the mouthpiece to a generation.
Absolutely.
And you're doing an amazing job in YouTube, social media, seizing the airwaves for the gospel. So I want you to tell the people who are listening to our conversation, what are you seeing in media right now, and why is it important for us as believers to be engaged in the media space?
Well, yeah, I mean, that's a great question. And I think we're seeing a generation, obviously, now, because I'm 29 now.
Okay.
And I know that I may look a little bit younger.
I feel old.
Yeah, I'm 29 now. And so what's interesting is my generation was the first generation that got to see technology as it unfolded in social media, Instagram, YouTube, Facebook. And so when I was 12, 13, that started to become a big thing. Well, now what we're seeing is generations that are growing up with it.
Yeah.
And we see entire generations that are going towards these platforms. And the narrative so far, at least what I've generally recognized, is people that are saying everything on the internet is wrong, it's evil, which, by the way, there are aspects of it that there's damaging things online, there's things that aren't good. But at the same time, I take the stance of if there's a space where people are going to be, where the world is going to be eventually, why not invade it with the truth?
Yeah.
Why not preach the gospel online if that's where people are going to be? So right now, we are seeing a generational shift of information going online, of people trying to find answers online.
Yeah.
And the more that we can invade that space, the better it's going to be in the long run to preach the gospel on a worldwide scale. I mean, I think the goal of evangelism, the goal of discipleship is to preach the gospel to what? The nations.
Yeah.
And now that our world is shifting to a place where a majority is going to be on that platform, why not try and invade that space as much as we can with the good news, with things that bring hope to people, things that bring restoration. And in doing so, that's why I decided to jump on YouTube, jump on social media, because that's where I'm seeing just the gap. The gap of people that are going there for the wrong reasons, and instead we're going to preach the right things.
Well, we cannot afford to lose a generation, because as you're talking about kind of the knee-jerk reaction sometimes to social media, and maybe sometimes a spirit of religion that says, oh, it's all evil, be disengaged from it, don't get involved in it. Honestly, back when the TV first came on to the scene, people were like, it's the devil.
Yeah, same thing like radio.
Yeah, I mean, any kind of significant advent technology, if we don't have eyes to see, we will disengage. But I love what you're talking about. We really need to invade. We need to engage, because if we don't, then there'll be a vacuum, and the devil loves to fill a vacuum. But I want you to tell the people, because, sometimes there's this thing in our heads that says, well, the people on social media, particularly young folks, again, I'm 40, so I shouldn't be talking that way, but, on TikTok or whatever, they don't want to hear hard-hitting, clear truth. You need to water it down. You need to give them something palatable. But that is not the case at all from what you're seeing. I mean, what is it that you specifically do on YouTube and your social media? Like, what's your thing? What's your message?
Yeah, so my message really, if I boil it down to a sentence, is we preach truth in a world full of lies.
That's so good.
And what I've seen is this generation, the generation rising up, they're obsessed with information because they have we're in the age of information where you can go online, you can look up whatever you want to look up and get answers. But the thing is, that's not always the right answer. And so what we see now is a generation that is misinformed. And I always link it back to, it's interesting how society has created this picture and culture where information is always a good thing and it's always progressing. But I love this quote by C.S. Lewis, and he talks about progress, and he says the point of progress is going towards the right thing.
Come on.
So if you're progressing down a path that is leading towards destruction, isn't the progressive thing to do to turn around and go the other way?
Yeah.
And so I think that's the shift that we need to see the church on the online space of what was the original temptation of Satan with Eve in the garden? It was knowledge. Hey, you touch this, you're going to get knowledge. And so in that regard, knowledge has to be submitted to the Word of God and how we process everything. And so I've found that people love just speaking truth unapologetically.
Yes.
And what we've seen is this culture that, wants to kind of tolerate and like what you're saying, water things down because they're afraid that they say things that are divisive, and if they say things that aren't popular, then all of a sudden the world's going to hate them. But I've actually found the opposite. I've found the more that I say, hey, this is what the Word of God says, we cannot compromise on it, this is the way that the world was made, this is the things that God has put in place, the more that people respect that. And at the same time, even those that disagree with me, of course, there's going to be this section of people that hate and say hateful comments and all those. But there's actually a lot of people that say, I respect you for actually standing for something. And I love the phrase that if you don't stand for something, you'll bow to everything.
You will.
And so we have to have Christians that are bold, unapologetic, and willing to go to the spaces that people aren't willing to go and say the hard truths. I mean, yes, Jesus was love. Yes, Jesus was accepting, and he extended grace. At the same time, there's a lot of times with religious leaders, with the Pharisees, that he said, hey, this is the way it's going to go. And it was a divisive statement that people said, there's no way that I will ever follow that.
Well, often in the Gospels, it would actually say there was division on account of Jesus, because he made truth very clear. And I got to tell you, Spencer, you're doing a fantastic job at making truth very clear. If people want to communicate with you, they want to connect with you, they want to follow what you're doing, because I really believe it is going to be so helpful to this next generation, even pastors and leaders, those in ministry leadership. I mean, you are so worth referring them to, because their people are really looking for this type of content, particularly the next generation. Where can people connect with you?
Yeah, so I'm on all social media platforms. I'm on YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook, and TikTok, just under my name, Spencer Nakamura. If you search that up, you'll be able to find my channel, where I have videos talking about different things, live streams, and resources there.
I love it. Thank you so much, Spencer, and thank you for standing for truth, because you know what, like you said, even though people may disagree with you, I think there is a respect that you actually have a very clear voice on things.
Thank you so much.
We need more like you.
Yes,
Thank
I
you,
appreciate it.